Jojo dreams of mysteries untold of the woman who lived in the stories of old. Maria, oh Maria, with eyes like stars so bright, guiding through darkness into the light. He hears her whispers in the moon's soft glow. In the secrets of the wind, her voice seems to flow. Maria Orsic, the world changer unseen. In Jojo's heart, you become his queen. Maria, Maria, rise from the past. With Jojo beside you, his legacy will last. Changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, here's your rhyme. She speaks of love, of unity and peace, of a future where wars and divide cease. Maria, guiding Jojo's heart so true, with a vision of a world that feels brand new. She came with wisdom, timeless and strong, telling Jojo the world we all get along. With every word, she lights his way. Maria, Maria, rise from the past. With Jojo beside you, your legacy will last. Changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, he is your rhyme. Through the veil of time, her spirit shines, helping Jojo see the world's inside. She shows him how love can break every chain, turning his sorrow into hope again. So here's to Maria, the mother of dreams, hope and love for the human race. Maria, Maria, forever stay in Jojo's heart, you're guiding his way. With visions of light and the world reborn, he carries your spirit from dusk till dawn. We're changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, he is your rhyme. For Jojo, a heart so true, with Maria Orsic guiding him through. Changing the world in her name, he holds her lights, igniting the flame.
Yeah, brothers and sisters, remember, recover, return. In Mother Mary, Maria, Vril, Mother Orsic's name. You know, one of my rituals after, I would say this is like 2015. So 4 years, or maybe 2014, 3 or 4 years into it. I have a ritual the week before that like ended somewhere. At this time I had been very, very into asking Maria to help me remember who I know in this life before I came here, you know, the people I really knew. And I was, earlier that night, I had said to her, she said, ask me anything you want to know. You can. It's no big deal. We're friends. I'm your mother, but I'm your friend. And I am not kidding you, for years, I was like, well, the only thing I can think of is a memory of before I came here. And I had never even thought to ask for a memory in the Matrix of the previous rounds. You hear me? Do you hear me? I never thought to ask her. Maybe there's some shit from the previous rounds in the Matrix I need to remember. Right? I never thought that, and I never, and this is how grave a teacher is. She thought that. And she's here saying, I thought that because I picked it up from your true self, because the highest work is somehow, some way, if you really love someone, you want to see them happy and empowered. And you know there's only one way, their own true self. And deals are made with people's true self over their avatar. Believe it, Joseph. I was like, damn, now that's a wild explanation of reality. But it makes more sense than God hates us, killed his own son. God hates us because we won't authentically worship him because we just don't think he's beautiful. That's his whole thing is, you love other gods. You don't worship. Yeah, because you're ugly and disgusting. Not physically. We're not talking that. We're talking your essence. You suck. You're a predator. You're unfair. You're full of force, fraud, and lies. And this I'll never forget, Maria had the most beautiful blue and purple dress. Kind of longer dress. Almost like, pretty fancy. But like she said, I want to look beautiful for you, my child. It's fun. And she's like, believe me, on Venus, we have plenty of time. She said, I keep the schedule because I like to, not because I have to. I was like, wow, that's cool. And so she said, oh, yeah, you want a memory of before you came here? And I said, yeah, back home. And she said, well, what about this? And she held up her hand like what you would see like an Indian going like how, or, not with her arm out, but just with her arm like a hi. And she went like this. And when I went to say like, hey, hi back. And when I did, it was like I instantly started dreaming, but this was actually a memory. I want to explain it because I now know what it is, and it was later explained to me. It was a memory of a previous round in my life, and this is where everything becomes very distorted for some people who have psychic abilities. They can no longer distinguish between their mind playing out the possibilities of things and the matrix, which is also not real. Both things are not real. In a sense, your mind, not even in a sense, literally, your mind is playing out your life, and it's not literal. You know what I mean? Your mind is like, I have to do this and that. I have to get married. I have to have children and have a family. You might not consciously have any clue why, but your mind is actually doing it and making it happen and making deals, sometimes with AI people on another level, sometimes with people actually plugged into the matrix. And like Maria said, that's why it truly is harder for a camel to get through an eye of a needle than someone to beat the frequency match technology that really does help people. She said, you want to know how I know you, Joseph? A very sophisticated computer told me that you existed on another plane where still there are millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of people who have never been physical beings but are as people as much as we are. I've met some of them. Maria knows these people, loves to interact with these people, has taken me numerous times. Took me to an androgynous, almost like a kid, almost like a 10, 12-year-old kid. It was this woman's true self. And she was so pure and innocent and like non-gender androgynous that I said to Maria, this might be ridiculous, but is that a man or a woman? And she was like more like a boy or a girl. You know what I mean? The person was more like a child, and this was their eternal self, eternal true self. And I was like, and Maria said to me, this is how she's causing us to see her. This is how she wants us to see her. She don't want us to think she's sexy, or I mean, she was, you know, almost looked like a prison uniform she was wearing. Almost like a jumpsuit, you know, very non-gendered. And it was an incredible experience of me sort of looking in a mirror and me saying, like, this totally makes sense. Who I have been seeing as a created man by the gods, I was a child, just like this person. It makes sense that I came from this realm, this world, to the physical Venusian world. And that's exactly why I was, like a kid. And like Maria said, Joe, it takes a long... She's like, you just wouldn't imagine how, like, rough and I am to you, you know, because I lived on the first time Earth. You look at me as like a warrioress fighter, so rough. And she's like, but I was a child just like you, and made myself grow up and become rough like this as a Austrian teenager. She said, believe me, I had boys grab me in high school, and I had to make it known, like, I consider that rape, and you've touched me like that, I will hurt you more than you'll expect. You better expect it, because and even if it's not now, it will be. And she said, I also grew up with boys who respected me, who would protect me. Always. All through high school. She said, but your high school you go longer. She said, I basically left high school before I was 15. I was just about, that year I would have been 15. And she said I was good at telling the teacher exactly what, and it was, like she said, it was mainly men, perverted men. She said, believe me, it was no problem manipulating the teachers with magic. She's like, I did well in school. I won it out a year early, and I got it. But anyway, this memory that Mother granted me with a how like this, and this was a previous round, very important, and this did not, I told her later, this didn't happen in this round, and this is her way of showing you, in a sense, gradually break the eternal return circle that you're in right now, which isn't totally eternal, but it seems like it in this matrix. You tell me I've repeated this life 100 times, that's almost like eternity to me. But it's like things happen each round. It doesn't seem like things are changing, but slowly your true self is awakening, the avatar of the avatar in the holographic matrix. And the week before, at the very end, she was like, remember you asked for a memory before you came here? And when she was saying that, all of a sudden I seen this dude without a shirt on, wearing a headband, like a leather, like kind of Native American Indian looking headband. And he was all excited. He was dancing around. We were like outside somewhere, like really having fun, dancing. You know, he had the headband. He was laughing. It was just like a 5-second memory. And I told her, she said, oh, that's your best friend. I was like, what? One of your best friends or something. And she's like, that's White Hawk. That's why I was telling you, if you need a fake name for, call yourself White Hawk. Because that's your best friend, really. You guys and me, we all call him White Hawk. And she said, you know why? He's very good at switching bodies with hawks in the Matrix. I go, what? And that's really all. And then the next week, again, I asked her, and this is the week I'm talking about, where she said, look, like this, she said with her hand. I went, because I was like, a memory of before. And she was like, I don't know about before you came here, but what about this? And I was with Mindy and my wife, Joey, and we were outside. It seemed like almost like a park, or maybe like a parking lot of a concert, maybe, because everyone was pretty excited. And us four were sitting down, maybe on the back of a car or something. And I said to Maria, White Hawk, that's White Hawk from last week. And she's like, right. She's like, yeah, Joe, I'm making sense. Yeah, it's meant to be. That and we're laughing. And straight up, he's telling us he's wearing the same sort of headband, or the same way as hair, kind of long, pretty long hair, like past his shoulder. He's like using the headband, keep his hair out of his eyes, but it's also like smashing down the sides, like kind of like an Indian. And he's telling us, dude, we're like 20. We're in our 20s. We're so fucking young. And he's like, you guys aren't never going to believe. He had like a deeper voice. Like, you're never going to believe this, but remember how I said I was doing the mushroom ritual? And I said to Maria, I sound like him. And she's like, well, yeah, he's your best friend. You love each other. And he's going, dude, I met the river goddess. And she's teaching me that the only way we can really, that we're in a simulation, that we're in a fake reality that's really existing in one of the God's minds. And it's all about if you can recognize where you're at. And we're going, what? That's crazy. And I was like almost a totally different person. I'm going, dude, you're saying like the mushrooms helped you see this? And he's like, oh man, dude, I was out of my body. It ended with him saying, like, the goddess told me this is the only way we can really change ourselves. And us, and all of a sudden I was back with Maria, and I was like, damn, I knew right then when he said that, in reality. I go, when did that happen? She said the previous rounds. I go, but it didn't happen this round. She was like, did anyone say it had to? And I go, so? She goes, this is the last round, Joe. It had to be different. That's what's different. It's the last round. It is the last round. You couldn't get out of here. Your true self has to. And it ended with Whitehawk saying, like, well, as I said, only the gods can help us in this. And me and Mindy and Joey going, damn, dude, it's like he really knows the gods. Like, the gods. Like, no one talks about the gods. And I was back with Maria, like, so that happened in the I go, how many times was Whitehawk here with us? She was like, all the rounds until that one. Then the next round after that, he wasn't there at all. I go, oh, why? And she said, because it's only happening in your mind, Joe. It's not happening out here. You think the world's happening out here. It's only happening in your mind. It's only happening in the minds of those plugged in. And your friend, my friend, our brother, Whitehawk, that was his last round. He was discovering what you're discovering now and telling you. I go, oh my God, that's exactly what was happening. Is he was saying to me exactly what I finally did do. And she said, because he said it to you, it manifests in your next round. And she was like, I told you, I'm going to teach you patience.
May never see it again. The bright lights. I said we may never see it again.
It is possible that you too may come to love Big Brother. 1984. 1. And creates men who act like machines. It is possible that you too may come to love Big Brother. And now, 1984. Kathy, did you remember the time the anti-snakes? 1.
It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Winston Smith, his chin nuzzled into his breast in an effort to escape the vile wind, slipped quickly through.
May never see it again.